Hello, welcome to Lore Master's Lair. I'm your Lore Master, here today for another video. Special edition for today, in honor of our anniversary month, I'll be doing an extra god video for a set of gods which no longer exist on the surface of Golarion, the Osirion Pantheon. Let's get started. Quick note on the Pantheon. Like many of the oldest pantheons in Dungeons & Dragons, it is an adaptation of a real-life mythology into usable stat blocks. In this case, Egyptian mythology. And of course, with the transition to the remaster, cleaning up the roles of the deities a bit by exiling such copy-paste from canon makes sense with Paizo as a company. But even if they have been teleported to places unknown across the universe, a quick look at each of the 20 cannot hurt from a lore-keeper's perspective. So we start with the creator deities, and I mean creators. Just hold on for a minute, we get there. Starting with the big one, we have Ra, deity of the sun, specifically the midday sun. He's said to have created mortals through his tears. With the head of a falcon, he constantly shepherds the sun across the sky in his sun barge, and then protects it at night as he travels through the underworld. The honor of second on our list goes to a champion of the people. Roman mythology actually had 3 different faces, and Capri was one of them, made a separate deity. The aspect of the sun at dawn, this god takes the form of a giant dung beetle, rolling the sun across the horizon. Those who toil for a living feel connections to the divine laborer, as does his habit as a prankster, poking fun of those who see themselves as superior. Second of all creator-related deities, we have Path, the deity of creation. As deity of arts and architecture, he designed and built the universe in some versions of the origin myths of both the worlds. At the very least, he seems to have created himself. He either appears as a mummified man or, on Golarion at times, a disfigured dwarf. The heritage of dwarfs known as the Hamet being named after him. And one more creator god, to a total of 3 so far, we have Neith, the Weaver, who each morning weaves the entire world from scratch. She also is goddess of the hunt, teaching mortals weapons and serves as guardian of fallen warriors, weaving their burial shrouds herself. She is connected to the ocean and saltwater just as Rajet is associated with the main river of whichever world it is. She also has a child with Set, something his own wife did not do, so that is a massive note. Now with the creators out of the way, we move on to one of the more central sets of Egyptian mythology. In Egyptian mythology, the deities of the earth and the sky, Geb and Nut, had 5 children. Later myths would change the relationships of the 5 slightly, making some not related, just wives and husbands, making one a child of the other 2. But either way, they all remain dynastically important, and starting with the namesake of the Golarions nation, Osiris. Made king thanks to the machinations of his wife, Osiris was then tricked by his brother, Set, and killed. Twice. While his body was reassembled both times, the second time he remained dead and became ruler of the dead instead of the living. He has no animal features, but the whole undead thing led to him having green or blue skin, depending on who's coloring, I guess. Second, his wife, Isis. Second in the row of no animal head, instead having ostrich feathers down the length of her arms. Well, I guess third if you count Neith. Anyway, she is Osiris' sister and wife, and master of magics. She helped her husband claim the throne by tricking Ra off it, the magic of true names being a strong source of power. And when her husband was killed, she collected all of the pieces of his dismembered body and brought him back to life. Twice. Third, the god of the desert, Set. The second evil outside of Apep, with the head of an unknown creature, the brother of Osiris, many times tried to take his throne, killing him twice, and finding himself at odds with Horus as a successor. Pathfinder also ties him to Undeath, an even larger villain upgrade when among the faith which prioritizes respect for the dead. So, well, if we have Set's sister/wife, Nephis. Not Nephis, but Nephis. Goddess of mourning, the one who feels sorrow for the dead. She also holds the mane of the border of the deserts and of the night, putting her with one foot in Set's world and one foot with the rest of the pantheon. She, like her sister, has feathered arms. And fifth, we have Horus, god of the sky. With a falcon's head and a symbol representing his eye as one of the most well-known images of Egyptology, he was once portrayed as siblings of Eofor, though later legends would have him as son and heir of Osiris and Isis, with Pathfinder drawing from the latter. Both born to be a true king and to avenge his brother, father, whatever, Osiris's murder. Horus is the main deity which fights against Set and his machinations in mythology. Now that we have the basics down, we move on to the many children of these 9. First, the daughters of Ra. We start with Bast. Sometimes spelled with an additional ET at the end, but always pronounced Bast. A deity of pleasure and secrets, this cat-headed deity was also associated with protection, guarding against diseases and serpents, among other dangers. There are reasons cats were so revered in Egypt, and she is the goddess of cats. Second of Ra's daughters, we're going alphabetically, we don't have information on birth order, but next is Hathor. While her sister doubles as a protection deity, the cow-headed goddess leans fully in on their shared domain of celebration, being the queen of dance and the sovereign of song. She also is the wife of Horus. Third, we have Sekhmet. In some tellings of mythology, the lion-headed goddess is the corrupted form of Hathor, but here we find her fully separate. She is the wrath of Ra, a cataclysm which is set to scorch the earth with fire and disease. Of course, when fully out of control, Ra gave mortals the recipe to pacify her by dyeing alcohol blood red and having her drink her fill. Ironically, death is the wife of creation, Path. Finally, we have Mot, the representative of truth. She appears as a woman with blue ostrich feathers on her head and with ringed arms. She is the goddess of cosmic order, keeping the planet moving and the seasons changing. This makes her the exact opposite of a Pep. And also, she is wife of the deity Thoth. Anubis is a protector of tombs and god of mummification. Child of Osiris and his brother's wife, he appears as a man with the head of a black jackal. He rides alongside Ra in his travels on the Sun Barge, but in Pathfinder it is against Set and his associated with death, which was his greatest enemy. And finally, Set's actual child with Neith, Sobek. The crocodile god, he is deity of rivers and marshes, and also battle. While he is one of the deities who occasionally supports his father, he does accompany Ra in his battles for Pep, and represents some of the gifts given to those through the flooding of the rivers. He has no known wife, but he does continue to try to show off to woo Sekhmet. Moving on to deities without known parents, we have Thoth, god of knowledge and writing. He actually has two physical descriptions: a man with the head of an ibis, or an intelligent baboon. He's also connected to the moon, as he wagered with the moon in order to gain enough moonlight to add 5 additional days, or nights in this case, to the calendar. And on the other hand, we have Selket, the deity of scorpions and all poisonous creatures. That said, she is in charge of them as a deterrent towards them, firmly on the side of good, also having connections with the embalming process. She usually either appears as a woman with a scorpion upon her head, or a black scorpion with the head of a woman, though one legend tales of her protecting Isis in the form of 7 scorpions. Here's a fun one. Bess in History and Tabletop was an interesting addition, a dwarf without any real connection to another deity. Both kinds, tabletop ancestry and historical holders of dwarfism. Bess is known to be incredibly ugly, and is one of the many deities around the world who is revered as a protector who uses their ugliness to scare away any threat. Also known as one of the few deities whose image in hieroglyphics always faces forward instead of profile. So we end with 2 serpents. First, the good, Wadjet, the embodiment of the Nile River, or the River Sphinx if you prefer the tabletop. Appearing as a woman with a serpent's head, specifically a cobra's head, and colorful wings, she is the mother of the Uranus, the guardian winged serpents, and is the protector of the nation, or nations as it may. Apep, the devourer of dawn, is something near in every pantheon, waiting destruction. We have Rovagog Pathfinder, the devouring starfighter, and here is a giant serpent born from the primordial waters of creation, devoted to sending the universe back to the chaos by devouring the sun. Is the best way to put it, I guess. Whether Egypt or Osirion, each sunrise is but temporary victory in a forever ongoing battle. Which brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you as always for everyone who has stopped by in and out over the past 5 years, We still have one anniversary video incoming, so you can look forward to a surprisingly festive video next week. See you then.